We are over halfway done with this NBA season. All-Stars have been announced. All-NBA will be at the end of the season. Those guys are going to get their shine. Today we are here to talk about the guys that probably won't get their shine at the end of the season, or maybe at all. We're here to talk about one underrated player from every NBA team. Let's go. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Starting off with the Atlanta Hawks, not many options here. Jalen Johnson's an all-star. They traded away Trae Young. And Nickeil Alexander-Walker's averaging 20, and I feel like everyone knows about that now. How about Jock Landale? How about that? He's had some good run in Memphis. He was a good offensive big in Memphis. He spaced the floor well, shooting over 3 threes per game and close to 40% from 3. He was hitting his threes at a very efficient clip. He gets traded to Atlanta. Since he's come to Atlanta, I believe it's been 3 games. He's averaging 11.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, still shooting 40% from 3 and 53 from the field. A very valuable offensive weapon as a big man. Don't ask me about his defense, because it's not that good. He's not a full-time center in my opinion. He's like 6'9". I don't know what his listed height is, but he's not a 7-footer. Not really even close in my opinion. He's not a defensive big man. He probably sticks better at the 4, but he has been playing the 5 a lot. He's got a little bit of a janky jump shot, but it goes in close to 40% on the season. There's value in that. He's had some big games. His first game in Atlanta, he had 20-plus points. And he had some good games in Memphis, too. He had some good run. He looked decent alongside John Morant when they had other passers to get him the ball open. Like I said, just not a very good defender. I still think Jock Landale's a little bit underrated, though. He's older. That's why in a lot of my mock trade videos, I wanted him to go to a team that needs a floor spacing big man and is in the playoffs, or at least championship contendership, I guess. But he ends up in Atlanta, and he's probably not going to be there very long, in my opinion. I'd assume he doesn't stick there next season, really. And we'll see what team he ends up on next. He's a very solid offensive big man who can shoot the ball, doesn't play the best defense, but when you need a floor spacer and a big man that can shoot, Jock Landale might be your guy. For my Boston Celtics, I have Speedy Gonzalez, Hugo Gonzalez. That's my boy, man. The numbers on paper aren't going to blow your mind for Hugo Gonzalez. He's averaging 4 points, 3.5 rebounds. On paper, you're looking at it, you're going, this guy cannot be underrated. He's just not good. Well, we'll disagree with each other there. Hugo Gonzalez is an amazing defender. Although he does have a little bit of a foul tendency, I think that's more of a reputation thing. The more time you spend in the league and the more you get known as a good defender, the better the whistle you get. His impact goes beyond the box score. Per 100 possessions, the defense for the Celtics is 9.5 points better with Hugo on the floor, and even the offense is 8.3 points better with Hugo on the floor. He's proven to be an absolute plus whenever he's on the floor for the Celtics. He cuts, he gets to the rim, he's got good size, he can play the guard, he can play the wing spot, he just needs to knock down his threes at a higher clip, and he'll fit the Mazzulla ball system to a T. He leads the Celtics and all rookies in plus-minus at plus 238. Whenever he comes in, the game shifts. He's a good on-ball defender, good POA defender, and on top of that, he's just a hustle guy, getting on the ground for a loose ball, chasing down a rebound, something like that. A Tommy Point specialist. If you're a Celtics fan, you know about Tommy Points. Hugo Gonzalez would be the clubhouse leader in Tommy Points this season if it was up to me. R.I.P. Tommy Heinsohn. He would have loved to watch Hugo Gonzalez. This is an amazing defender who's just all effort. He might not be the best ball handler right now. He's not a true point guard right now. But he did show some good offensive play at Real Madrid when he was there in Spain for a little while before he came to the NBA. He's a rookie over here. He's only 19 years old. I believe he's actually 20 now. But he comes in, he's only 19 years old. He shows plus defensive ability. He shows that maybe one day he can be a good offensive piece as well if he just starts knocking down his threes. And guess what? He's starting to practice with Tatum down in the G League. Shit's about to get spooky when both of them are in their prime. Couldn't even finish that sentence. Hugo Gonzalez is amazing, though. I'm so happy the Celtics didn't trade him at the deadline. It felt like it would have been such a bad move if they were to trade a guy like Hugo Gonzalez. Even though the numbers on paper aren't going to blow you away or anything like that, when you watch him play, you can see that he makes an impact night in and night out. Up next, we have the Brooklyn Nets, and we have a guy that I thought was going to get traded at midseason. Didn't get traded at midseason. It's Big Day'Ron Sharpe. Very silently, Day'Ron Sharpe is a great backup big man to have, and Nets fans are kind of spoiled having this guy just sitting on their bench. He's averaging 8.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 2.2 assists per game. He's a good DHO guy, very solid screen setter. He's built like a brick shit house, so that helps. He's averaging over a steal per game while shooting 60% from the field. He's shown that he can be effective handling the ball as well. There's multiple times where I've seen him just take off on the DHO. He'll slip through instead of screening and giving the ball away. He'll just go right to the basket and get 2 free points. Day'Ron Sharpe is a very smart offensive basketball player, and defensively, he's pretty good too. The Nets defense is 7.5 points per 100 possessions better with Day'Ron Sharpe on the floor. He's shown that he can be a positive, even with Nick Claxton starting. That's a really good defensive center tandem right there. Day'Ron, I think he just needs to expand his game a little bit, maybe knock down the mid-range, and then maybe we expand to a 3. I'm not asking for a lot, but as of right now, he's averaging 2.7 offensive rebounds per game in only 18 minutes, by the way. 18 minutes per game, he's giving you 8.5, 6.5, and 2, with a steal per game. Day'Ron is super impactful and super productive in only 18 minutes. I wanted him to get traded at the deadline because I wanted him to be a 25-minute-a-game guy, a real guy that can get full rotational minutes and not just be some complimentary piece. I want Day'Ron to get more run. 2.7 offensive rebounds per game in 18 minutes is ridiculous. You give him 26 minutes, he'll be averaging 3.5, I guarantee it. Brooklyn really loves this guy. I've interacted with some Nets fans on this very channel before, and they love this big guy, Day'Ron Sharpe. And you watch more and more, I watch more and more film of him, and I see why they love him, and I see why Brooklyn kept him at the deadline. He is very good. He needs an extension this offseason, I believe. Brooklyn, pay the man because he's a super quality backup big man for when Clax is out. He just does everything really well. He's not elite, but he covers a lot of what you need from a big man. Good screen setter, decent passer, good rebounder on both sides of the floor, offensive and defensive, and he can play defense. What more do you want from your big man? We're sticking with the trend of centers here as we move on to the Charlotte Hornets. This guy's not really underrated anymore. He's not really even a kept secret. He's been really good the last few weeks, I would say, maybe even the last like 2 months or so. Put the antlers up. It's Moussa Diabate, the Moose. Moussa didn't get the starting job out of day one, I don't think. I remember Ryan Kalkbrenner was starting to begin the season. Kalkbrenner was amazing, don't get me wrong. He was shooting like 70% to start the year, and he was breaking rookie records for most consecutive made shots. But I thought Moussa had earned the job at the end of last season with his run. And I know the end of the season, the March run or whatever, doesn't really mean anything a lot of the time. That's the Josh Jackson time of the year, I've been calling it. But Moussa was really good in that time when they picked him up. Since he's taken over the starting job, he hasn't looked back. This season, you'll see 8 points, 8.5 rebounds with about 2 stocks per game. But it's a lot more impactful than that. He's another high offensive rebounder, energy type of big man. He averages about 4 offensive rebounds per game in only 25 minutes per game. He's super productive in the time that he gets. Plus, the thing is, he's switchable. He's super versatile. He's not a 7-footer. He kind of reminds you of Onyeka Okongwu, but to me, he's more of a in the paint. He can mix it up with centers better than an Onyeka Okongwu can. That's no disrespect to Onyeka, but Moussa is like a traditional center just trapped in like a 6'9" body. He's also another solid screen setter, but the offensive rebounds are really what gets you with him. He's super prone to hustling. Like, he will get any ball. If there's a rebound that takes 1 hop on the floor, Moussa's gonna get that. Moussa's gonna get every loose ball that you would think. He hustles super hard, man. Since he's taken over the starting job, the Hornets have just been a way better team. And that's no knock to Kalkbrenner. It's just how good Moussa Diabate is. The offense is 10.5 points better with him on. He's switchable on the perimeter because, like I said, he's not a true 7-footer, and he's kind of lanky and rangy. You know, he's got these long arms. He can cover a lot of ground. He's a guy that'll cover out at the perimeter and then crash down and get a block if someone gets a drive to the basket. He does a lot of things really well. Shout out to the Moose, man. And I know the other day, he was just fighting with Isaiah Stewart, Jalen Duren. It was Jalen Duren he was fighting. But that's what I like to see, man. From an undersized big man who's not afraid to throw down in the paint. Jalen Duren is bigger than him, but he fouls Duren and then he gets in his face. I love that. I love a scrapper. I love a big man like Moussa Diabate. Like I said, I thought he had earned the job at the end of last season, but oh well, he has it now. Based on this next pick, I wonder if you guys can tell what archetype of player I really do like. I love me some Jalen Smith from the Chicago Bulls. He's had some really good run this year. The Sticks era has officially begun in Chicago after the Vucevic trade. In only 20 minutes per game, Jalen Smith is averaging 10 points and 7 rebounds per game while shooting 49 from the field, 38 from 3, and 72 from the free throw line. He's taking 4 threes a game and shooting 38%. That's really accurate, really plus shooting. Per 100 possessions, the offense is about 10 points better with Jalen Smith on the floor because of the fact that he spaces the floor. And the defense is 4 points better. The reason I think the defense is better is similarly to Moussa Diabate. He can get switchable on the perimeter. He can dance with, maybe not a guard, but he can dance with a forward and at least force a mid-range shot. That's one of your jobs as a big man, is to force a tough shot. Al Horford is really good at that. You might not have to be the fastest guy, but if you can force a guy into an uncomfortable mid-range or something like that, you did your job. Just don't allow anything easy. Jalen Smith is really good at that. The Chicago Bulls are 1-9 in games without Jalen Smith this season, and I'm watching them play against my Boston Celtics right now. They're well on their way to 1-10 without Jalen Smith because he is out tonight as well. I'm not saying he's the only reason that they're 1-10 without him, but damn, you would think an 11-game sample of them being piss poor without this guy would paint the picture. Maybe he means something to the team. He leads the team in plus-minus as well, similarly to a Hugo Gonzalez. Jalen Smith checks the boxes. He can knock down threes. He can switch onto the perimeter a little bit. A sneaky backup big who can knock down threes. Like I said, dance on the perimeter. He does stuff well. And I think maybe next to another big he would strive. I guess that's where Zach Collins comes into play for right now. I don't know how he's going to do down the stretch of this season because he isn't a typical center build. Maybe he can hold up. I'm not quite sure yet. But the Bulls have about 15 guards on the roster, so it might be a little bit tough for Jalen Smith to defend as well because they just aren't a very big team post-trade deadline. Up next, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers. I guess I'm going to have to go with Jalen Tyson. I was going to go with Naquan Tomlin, but I really couldn't make the case for it. Jalen Tyson is not really underrated anymore, but I still kind of put him here because I don't know if the general public knows about Jalen Tyson yet. A very talented two-guard / wing. He's averaging 14 points, 5.5 rebounds while shooting, listen to these splits, 52 from the field, about 48 from three, 48% from behind the line, and 75% from the free throw line. 48 from three is just an unreal number for a guy who's played a majority of the games this season. I think he's crossed 40. But it goes beyond just catching and shooting. He can also make plays off the dribble. I've seen him have plus games passing, giving drop-off passes to Jared Allen. He had a big 40-point game earlier this year, I believe. He's had some really big blow-up games, and he's shown that he can be an impact player for this Cavs team down the stretch. When you can catch and shoot, but also attack closeouts and dribble the ball very well, or at least competently enough to get to the basket, get a layup in, that's when your value sort of goes up. If you're just a catch and shoot guy, that makes you very one-dimensional. But if you're able to attack the closeout, that's a different level of player, and that's what Jalen Tyson's got to this year, is his ability to attack the closeout, especially off of like Donovan Mitchell's gravity. Teams are going to send two at D-Mitch. Jalen Tyson's got to make them pay, and he has so far this year. The offense is 4.5 points better per 100 possessions with Jalen Tyson on the floor. And of course, like I said, it really does help when on the season you're shooting 104 of 218 from three. Not sure if he's really an underrated player anymore because of how good he's played this season, but again, for the people that don't know, go check out some Jalen Tyson game logs. He's had some really big games this year, and I'm curious to see what his role next to James Harden is going to be. I hope it's not just stand in the quarter and do nothing. I hope he's still allowed to be the player he was pre-Harden trade, but post-Garland injury, when he was still able to make plays off the dribble, he was still allowed to attack closeouts, maybe even run a pick and roll here and there. I just hope his game isn't relegated to just go sit in the corner now that James is there. For the Dallas Mavericks, I have Max Christie. Max Christie is averaging 13 points, 3.5 rebounds, and 2 assists on 46, 43, 87 splits. He's having a really efficient season. Super solid 3-and-D player. Of course, he was a part of the Luka trade. He gets traded with Anthony Davis over there, and he looks like the only piece that really matters from that trade that went to Dallas. Christie is attempting 6 threes per game and shooting 43%. That's super impressive and needed, especially when you have Cooper Flagg on your team, who's known for being a downhill menace at getting to the basket. You need guys who can knock down corner threes. Max Christie's done that very well this season. We saw these flashes in LA before the trade. Of course, now he goes to Dallas, and he just has free reign to do what he needs to do, and he's been playing super well. Looks like a guy who just is playing for fun right now. That's really what the Mavericks are doing. They're not a very good team. They're a young team that's learning. A guy that gives good defensive effort and can catch and shoot and knock down a three. Hey, sounds like a very valuable piece to me. I don't mind some Max Christie. Another thought I had was Najee Marshall, but Najee Marshall was a big-time trade candidate, and a lot of people really know how good he's been this season. Najee Marshall has been making plays since he was a Pelican. He can go off the dribble. He can shoot the three as well. I just wanted to give a little bit more shine to Max Christie. Wasn't aware he was shooting 43% from three. That's a damn good percent on the season. For the Denver Nuggets, I have Peyton Swatson. I don't think there's anyone really here that's underrated on the Nuggets, can I say? Most people here are fairly rated. Jamal Murray is going to be an all-star, so he's not really underrated anymore. Aaron Gordon has been hurt. Christian Brown has been hurt. Julian Strawther has been in and out of the lineup. They don't have a ton of guys that are really underrated, quote-unquote. I could have put Zeke Naji, but I'm good. So yeah, Watson isn't really underrated, but he is having a really good season. He's averaging 15 points, 5 rebounds with over 2 stocks per game, so that defensive instinct is still there despite being more of an offensive shot taker and having more load to carry on the offensive end. He's shooting 50, 42, 72 splits, showing some ball creation, his ability to run screen and roll. We saw that without Jokic, that him and Jamal and some other guys were able to keep them afloat without Jokic and other rotational guys, and it's mostly because Peyton Watson was able to create off the dribble. He was hitting mid-range shots from the free throw line, the nail. He was playing really, really good with the ball in his hands. And now, again, another guy, like I said about Jalen Tyson, once you get Jokic back, I hope Peyton Watson's role isn't go sit in the corner the whole game. He can hit mid-range jumpers. He can attack the basket. He's super lanky. He can play great defense. We've known he can play great defense. It was just about the offensive bag coming around, and it really did without Jokic here. I hope that his offensive game can flourish and still be shown on full display, even with Jokic back in the lineup. I really do like Peyton Watson. Swatson is a godsend to Denver. For the Pistons, I have Javonte Green. That's my bounce man, bro. He came in with the Celtics. I miss him so much. He was so fun for playing on my Celtics. It was a fun team, and he just has so much bounce. Javonte Green has played on 5 teams in 7 seasons and has been a solid contributor on every single team. He's currently only averaging about 7 points with over a steal per game while shooting 45, 36, 80 splits. That's not bad. Plus, he's a really good defender, plus hops. He provides the highlight reel plays every once in a while, maybe a chase down block or maybe a cool alley-oop play. Either way, he is a very fun player. Javonte Green, when he's knocking down his threes, is also just a really damn good player. You know, he can attack off a closeout maybe here and there. And then, like I said, plus defense. Nobody really on the Pistons is underrated. Duran's going to the All-Star game. Cunningham's going to the All-Star game. Tobias Harris is Tobias Harris. I could have put Dennis Jenkins. Maybe I should have put Dennis Jenkins. I didn't think about that, but it's too late now. Oh well, Javonte Green, really do like his game. Don't understand how he's been on 5 teams in 7 years because he's been productive on just about all of them. For the Warriors, I guess I'm going to put Will Richard. I don't know. Nobody really underrated here. This team's just kind of mid, but they have a lot of players that are just kind of all right. Will Richard's averaging 7 points per game with 2.5 rebounds while shooting 47 from the field, 35 from 3, 82 from the free throw line, and plus defensive effort. He's a good rookie pickup. He seems like a guy that can play alongside Steph. He has a ton of confidence in his game. If you watch him play, he's a guy that carries himself with a lot of swagger, and you like to see that. I like the fact that he can play alongside Steph Curry. He embraced that when Steph was healthy, of course. He can knock down his open threes, play good enough defense to stay on the floor, and create a little bit. Would like to see his bag grow a little bit more with more confidence. Maybe they give him the ball in different spots later this season. I don't really know, but without Steph Curry around, they need a guy who can be able to score. And I know Pajemski's taken that role up a little bit. DeAnthony Melton's had a really good year, but I still believe Will Richard is maybe one of their better draft picks in a while in terms of complementary guys that actually play well with Steph. He just looks to be a fine rotational piece, and at how late in the draft he was taken, I think you will take fine rotational player from Will Richard. Really solid player. Rockets are another team where I don't think anyone's really underrated over there. I took Jabari Smith Jr. The only reason I would say Jabari Smith Jr. is underrated is because of the expectations that were put on him going into this season. He had a really good run last year in the playoffs against Golden State. People thought that that would take off and he'd play better this season. Hasn't really met expectations to some people. Maybe to you he has, but to me and a lot of others, maybe not that much. But I feel like with him missing expectations, the people have kind of really waned on him and not really liked him as much this year. Kind of dealing with what Evan Mobley was dealing with, where expectations were so sky high that anything below was deemed a failure. I mean, on paper, you see Jabari Smith is averaging 15 points per game with 7 rebounds, about 2 stocks per game, while shooting 44 from the field, 36 from 3, and 77 from the free throw line. He's a very rock-solid player. It's just expectations. People thought he would be an 18-a-game guy, maybe shoot 40% from 3 or something like that. But truth be told, a lot of the defensive pressure is on him in that starting lineup, especially now without Steven Adams. Yeah, he hasn't met expectations, to be honest with you. At least not my expectations. Maybe he's exceeded yours, but he hasn't really met mine as much. However, I think that has kind of made him underrated. The fact that he's still a super solid and productive player, despite the fact that it's been a little bit of a downturn this year. And I think it's new, playing alongside Kevin Durant, having this big old team, and nobody can really space the floor. He's expected to be a great shooter. I don't know. Maybe he could have been. He probably should have been a better shooter this year. 36% is too low, but this is not a bad player by any stretch of the imagination. Solid defensively, solid rebounder, can hit a shot from the free throw line, can get some jumpers up here and there and score some big nights. It's just maybe not what we thought he could have been this season. That doesn't mean he's a bad player, though. The Pacers, I guess I'm going to go with Andrew Nembhard. Again, another team with not a lot of guys that I think are underrated over there. Like, am I going to say Quentin Jackson? I mess with Quentin Jackson, not that much. Andrew Nembhard's always been a rock-solid contributor. We saw that in the playoffs the last 2 years. Him just being a pest, him being a creator with the ball, and on top of that, him being a solid passer as well. Without Halliburton, he's needed to step up, and I know the team's been ass, but he's missed time, Mathurin missed time, and now is traded. Nesmith missed time, Toppin's missed time, Halliburton's missed time. They had no center play. They really weren't. Andrew Nembhard wasn't really put into a position to be able to carry this team because the roster wasn't even good enough to carry. It was just a bad roster coming into the year. Nembhard's defense hasn't been the same as seasons prior simply because the offensive pressure is more on him now than it was ever, maybe. Without Halliburton there, they've needed creators with the ball, and that's kind of the role Nembhard's taken up. He's been really damn good at it for the last few years. His ability to hit mid-range shots, hit deep threes. He'll go 0 for 3 from 3 and then hit something from the logo, and you're like, where did that come from? He's averaging 17.5 points with 7 assists on 44, 36, 82 splits. 7.5 assists, 2.5 turnovers. It's a pretty good assist-to-turnover ratio. He's a good lead guard this year, good enough, and the team isn't that good with or without him, so I can't put the expectation and the pressure on him to say, hey, the team should have been better, when the roster just wasn't good. He's having a career year, albeit the team stinks. For the Los Angeles Clippers, I have my boy. This is a personal pick. Yannick Conan Niederhauser. I discovered this guy maybe after Summer League, I think, before the season started. I was like, who is this? And then I went and I looked him up. I looked up his combine. I looked up everything like that. And let me tell you, he's a prototypical big man for this era. I think post-Zubats trade, YKN, I'm going to call him YKN, I guess. I might call him Niederhauser. I don't know. I might call him Conan, for all you know. Conan, he has hops. That's what I really like about him. He averages 1 offensive rebound per game and 9 minutes per game. When Ivica Zubac was down and the Clippers started turning around their season, it was Brook Lopez and him helping play that 5 and soak up center minutes, and they looked pretty damn good when he was doing it. Again, he's averaging only 9 minutes per game. If you extend his minutes out into the per 36, I know per 36 isn't the most favorite statistic out there because it's a lot of imaginary work being done, a lot of projection that may or may not happen. But if you go by per 36 numbers, Yannick Conan Niederhauser is averaging 15, 9 rebounds with 2 blocks and 3 offensive rebounds per game. In my opinion, if I had to give you an NBA comparison, he's in that DeAndre Jordan ilk of big man, 6'11", close to 7 feet, can jump, has long arms, block shot, and dunk the ball. That's all they've needed him to be. That's all he has been. And damn it, in this league, that has value. I know I'm preaching to you about a guy who only plays 9 minutes per game, but again, his minutes are going to take a tick up, in my opinion. I hope, at least, from the Zubac trade, them thinning it out. I know Isaiah Jackson was part of the return, but we know what Isaiah Jackson is. He's a hustle big man that's not really that good at much else besides hustling and some offensive rebounds and rebounding. I think Conan Niederhauser has a higher ceiling than Isaiah Jackson does. I think he deserves more playing time. For the Lakers, Vando, I don't know. This isn't a team with very many underrated guys. If anything, they have a couple of overrated guys. No, I'm just kidding. You know what? I'm just going to throw that grenade in there and say the Lakers have some overrated guys on their roster. There's a live grenade in the room, and I'm just going to close the door. I wouldn't say Vando's underrated due to his play, because his play is just consistently good defender, mid-offensive player. I think Vando is underrated because of how needed and how much of a necessity he is for this Lakers team to be successful. He's integral to the Lakers, in my opinion. He's made himself non-replaceable because of the fact that they have no perimeter defending. He's currently averaging 5 and 5 with over a steal per game, or about a steal per game. On the surface, not great. But the Lakers' defense is 4.5 points per 100 possessions better with Vando on the floor. His offensive rebounding helps a little bit too. He can average about 1 a game. He's not a great offensive player, albeit, but if he sits in the dunker spot in the corner, he's not hurting you that bad. Shooting 47 from the field, 30 from 3, and 64 from the line. Splits aren't pretty, like I said, but if he cuts well, he can get passes from Luka, LeBron, and Reeves, and he can get some dunks. And maybe if he camps the dunker spot, he can get some drop-off passes, maybe a little corner 3 here and there. It's just how good he is defensively that he's needed for the Lakers, in my opinion. I think he is needed for the Lakers to be a good team. For the Memphis Grizzlies, I have Cam Spencer. Cam Spencer's only in year 2, but he's averaging 12 points and 5.5 assists per game, which is pretty damn solid. They've been missing Ja Morant for a bulk of the season. They've needed point guard minutes. Cam Spencer's come in, and he shot 48% from the field, 45% from 3, and 93% from the free throw line. He's taking about 5 threes per game and shooting 45%. That's pretty damn good, man. Like I said, with Morant and company missing time, Morant, Jaren, Edey, all these guys missing a ton of time, and them having to really lean on their young guys, Cam Spencer's done a pretty damn good job. He's averaging 5.5 assists per game, like I said before. He's only averaging 1.5 turnovers. That's pretty efficient as a passer. The offense is over 4 points better per 100 possessions to boot with Cam Spencer on the floor, so he's helped the offense a lot too. His spacing helps a lot, which is something that Ja Morant doesn't have. I love Ja Morant. He's better than Cam Spencer. I'm not going to disrespect him, but the one thing that Cam Spencer has that Ja doesn't is the ability to hit threes, space the floor. Cam Spencer hits some deep threes here and there too. One thing that I noticed looking at his shot chart, this dude loves the left side of the floor. He hits a lot of the lion's share of his shots are from the left side of the floor. And hey, if you're going to be efficient from one spot on the floor, why not take a lot of your shots from that side? Good at getting to where he wants, can hit the mid-range, hits deep threes. Cam Spencer just checks the boxes of a good backup point guard, although he's been thrust into being the starter with Ja Morant. For the Miami Heat, I have Davion Mitchell off night. Off Night's having a decent year. I don't think the Heat have very many underrated guys. Jaime Jaquez is in the running for 6th man of the year. Everyone knows about Kel'el Ware, Bam Adebayo. Ware's stunk it up this year a little bit, but Davion Mitchell's averaging 9 points and 7 assists per game. Not bad. He's shooting 47 from the field, 40 from 3, and 67 from the free throw line. Not going to acknowledge it. He's playing great defense too. It's Davion Mitchell. He's a very hard-nosed defender as a point guard, a pit bull, if you will. Heat offense is 4.5 points better per 100 possessions with Davion Mitchell on the floor, and the defense is even 3.5 points better with Davion Mitchell on the floor. He's a +7 when he's on the floor. The team is +7 in his minutes on the floor. It's pretty damn good for a guy that a lot of us, me included, thought he was probably better as a backup point guard, but he proved me wrong, shooting 40% from 3. That'll keep you on the floor, and the defense that he plays, that tough defense, that's just a cherry on top. He reminds me a lot of like a Tre Jones type of point guard, kind of a table setter point guard that hits the right passes and knocks down the open threes, but I do believe that Davion Mitchell's a better player than Tre Jones, a better defender than Tre Jones at the very least. Just a very solid point guard who plays like a backup point guard. He plays like a traditional point guard of like the early 2000s. Played defense, passed well, maybe hit a shot or two. That's all they need out of Davion, and that's what they're getting night in and night out. For the Milwaukee Bucks, I have maybe one of my favorite names in the NBA, Derry Bird AJ Green. I don't think he's underrated because, like, everyone knows what he does. Derry Bird AJ Green is a bomber. He attempts 8 shots per game on average, and he attempts 7 threes per game on average. 1 shot inside the arc per game when he's taking 8 a game is unreal. It's a very clear picture of what AJ Green does when he steps on the floor. He subs in, and his job is to come around screens, move off the ball, help maybe grab an offensive rebound here or there, but mostly get open. Just get open. His value is just being on the floor, because if he gets open, it's damn near a guarantee he's going to make a 3. He's shooting 43% from 3 on 7 attempts. He's averaging 10.5 points per game, which is really, really respectable for a role player, a guy who doesn't really create for himself. He doesn't. Well, he creates for himself in a different way than everyone else does. He creates for himself because he's able to get open off the ball, off-ball screens and pin downs and flares and shit like that. He really has the ability to get open off that type of stuff, but he holds up well defensively too, which is something that not a lot of these off-ball shooter types can say. As a matter of fact, the Bucks defense is 5.5 points per 100 possessions better with Derry Bird on the floor. He's shown to be a plus defensively, and on top of that, like I said, just his gravity alone makes him very valuable offensively. Him and Giannis together have always yielded one of the higher plus-minus lineups with the Bucks because AJ Green's ability to just get open off a screen and how scary, I was going to say something else, but how scary he is when he is open. His screens and his ghost screens and stuff like that he runs with Giannis get so many open looks. Like I said, they're both dangerous, and you put them both in the pick and roll or just a screen in general, you're either going to get a Giannis mismatch against a guy who's guarding AJ Green, which is typically the weaker defenders, or you're going to get AJ Green slipping the screen, maybe going out to the three-point line and knocking down a 3, it's dangerous no matter what happens. The defense really loses when these two meet up for a pick and roll. Minnesota Timberwolves, Bones Hyland, I guess. I don't know. I don't think they have many underrated guys. They picked up Ayo Dosunmu, who I could argue is underrated, but I think the public knows about him. I went with Bones Hyland, though, because it feels like Bones was a guy who was damn near out of the league, and he is now just a solid contributor. 7.5 points per game, 2.5 assists per game. Pretty damn solid. The Timberwolves have needed backup guard play, and when they didn't get it from like Mike Conley, well, Mike Conley wasn't bad, but when they weren't getting it consistently, they started giving it to Bones Hyland, and he did pretty good. Bones is shooting 38.5% from 3, and he's helping give spot minutes to a team that kind of lacked guard depth. Like I said, until they got Ayo Dosunmu, they really didn't have many guards on the roster, and Bones Hyland was thrown into that role, and it worked out relatively well. The thing is, he was always a net negative defender before. It feels like he's bulked up a little bit. Maybe that's just in comparison to when him and Rob Dillingham were playing together, and it looked like he was the fucking Incredible Hulk standing next to Rob Dillingham. I don't know. Maybe Bones did get a little bit bigger, but it definitely helps when you got backline defender of the year, Rudy Gobert, right behind you. One of the best at defending the rim and defending the paint in the game, and Rudy Gobert behind you. That definitely doesn't hurt your defense at all either. And he's playing in lineups, like I said, mostly with Gobert to cover for that one deficiency in his game, and that's just being a great defender. But offensively, he's provided a spark, and he's done relatively well. I don't know what minutes he's going to get with Ayo Dosunmu coming to the team, but Bones did relatively well in the minutes that he was given. For the Pelicans, I put Trey Murphy, and I don't think he's really like underrated. If you know ball, you know who Trey Murphy is. You know he's a fringe all-star caliber guy. I think he does make the underrated list because he didn't make the all-star game. The guy's averaging 22, 6, and 4 with 1.5 steals per game. I get it. The Pelicans are ass. I still think they deserved an all-star. I know this isn't baseball where every team gets at least one, but damn, man, 22, 6, and 4, shooting 48 from the field, 38 from 3, and almost 90 from the free throw line still doesn't get you in the all-star game. I don't know, man. He has plus size. He's listed at 6'8", 206, but he plays like he's closer to 6'10". He is an elite shooter. He always has been an elite shooter. His nickname is Real Stroker for a reason. I love that nickname. One of my favorites in the game right now. If those of you who don't know ball and don't know Trey Murphy III, another guy you can just go watch his highlights. He knows how to get open. He takes tough shots. I watched this guy rip the Celtics to pieces last year twice. I don't think he's underrated anymore, but like I said, not making the All-Star game kind of makes me feel like he is a little bit underrated and undervalued. If he went to any other team in the NBA that was semi-competent and not the fucking Pelicans, Trey Murphy would be more well known than he is today. You get what I'm saying? I like Trey Murphy a lot, a guy who can shoot the ball, play decent defense, and plays with a good size and aggression. For the Knicks, I guess Landry Shamet. I don't know. I don't know who's underrated on the Knicks, to be honest with you. I think they just have a bunch of solid players that everyone acknowledges are pretty good. Everyone knows Cat's good. Everyone knows Brunson's good. Here's the thing. Landry Shamet shooting over 42% on a team that was desperate for three-point shooting at some spots this year. The big knock on Landry Shamet's always been his defense's ass. Well, the Knicks are actually 2.5 points better defensively per 100 possessions with Shamet on the floor. He's proved to be at least a net neutral at worst defender, which there's nothing wrong with that, especially when you're an off-ball quality shooter like Shamet is. His three-point shooting creates issues for the opposing team because Jalen Brunson loves getting into that lane, loves hitting his floaters, loves hitting his step-back mid-ranges. You can't crash down when you have a guy like Landry Shamet sitting in the corner who's knocking down everything. He was inactive for a good portion of the season, and when the Knicks were struggling, he was inactive for the most part. But since December, he's playing 23 minutes per game, and he's been so good that Mike Brown's kind of been forced to keeping him into the rotation. When you're shooting 43%, 42% from 3, you're not just going to get taken out of the rotation, and especially when you're playing solid enough defense. Mike Brown has been forced into playing Landry Shamet because he's been that decent. 23 minutes per game since December, and has really helped the Knicks get out of that funk they were in. They were in a really bad skid to start the new year. Since then, they've picked it up really well, and I think a big piece of that is Landry Shamet, despite, again, I've given him crap before. I'm not the biggest Landry Shamet guy. I'm usually a Knicks hater, but damn it, Landry Shamet helped the Knicks a lot. Up next for the Thunder, we have A.J. Mitchell. He's a real six-man of the year candidate. He's carried the bench scoring load for Oklahoma City when they've needed him to. He's averaging 14 points, 3.5 assists, and 3.5 rebounds per game with 1.5 steals per game as well. He fits in perfectly with OKC's system of just trying to force turnovers and get out into the full court and run. Make it a track meet off of your own turnovers. A.J. Mitchell's no different than the rest of their team, no different than the Carusos and the Dorts. The thing is, he can create with the ball. Loves to attack the basket, is a guy that really prays and loves to get into that floater zone, as I like to call it. Basically the area where it's not a layup, but it's also not a mid-range shot. Inside the paint, but not at the rim. He loves the floater zone, lefty, can create shots from just about anywhere. He can shoot from the outside too. OKC's another team where it's like guys aren't really underrated because like they just won the championship. Everyone knows how good Chet Holmgren is. Everyone knows how good Lou Dort is defensively. AJ Mitchell wasn't really there for the championship run last year, so maybe he's not getting as much shine. In terms of sportsbook odds, I believe he is like top 5 and 6 man of the year voting. Doesn't really matter to me, at least. I still think he's underrated in the grand scheme of things because he is a great shot creator for the Thunder, especially now that Shea's down. They're going to need him more than ever. Up next for the Magic, I have Wendell Carter, Goggles Man. We love Wendell Carter around here. I've talked bad about him before, but he's gained my respect this season a little bit more, at least. 12 points, 7.5 rebounds, including over 2 offensive rebounds per game, and being one of the better post defenders in the NBA, if not the best post defender. The defense per 100 possessions is 5 points better with Wendell on the floor. He's shown that he is a very positive defensive player, despite also his backups being very competent defensively. When you're dealing with a lot of on-off stuff, you have to factor in who their backup is. His backup's Goga Batadze, and he's still grading out as a plus defender. Goga's an amazing defender too, guys. Don't sleep. He's shooting about 34% from 3, which is better than like last year where it was really, really bad from 3. My expectations for him were kind of pretty low because of how bad he was last year on offense at least. This season he's bounced back and he's played a lot better. Good post defender, good rim defender, solid team defender, can dance on the perimeter a little bit. Wendell Carter is a problem for opposing teams because he's not one of those bigs that you can get the switch and dance on. He doesn't do that. He'll block your shot. For the 76ers, I have Dominic Barlow. I guess. I don't know. Barlow started 35 games this season, and I don't think anyone really talks about him. He has plus size. He's like 6'9". He defends well. Crashes the glass pretty well, too. He's averaging 8.5 points with 5 rebounds and about 2 stocks per game. Pretty solid production from a guy that I didn't even think would be starting this season at all. When I was doing my preseason work for these teams, didn't expect Dom Barlow to be the full-time starter at the power forward spot for them, but here we are. Those 5 rebounds per game also includes the fact that he averages almost 2.5 offensive rebounds per game as well. He can jump out of the gym. This is a guy that can fly and occasionally hit a 3. He's a decent power forward. The thing is, the defense is 4.2 points per 100 possessions better with Dominic Barlow on the floor. And like I said, having him in the lineup really helps out a lot this season because their backcourt is pretty small. VJ is a smaller 2-guard, and Maxey's a smaller point guard. Paul George is out doing Lord knows what, and they've needed good backline defenders and guys who can be POA defenders. Dom Barlow is at least trying his best at doing that. He has a smaller backcourt, and he's still grading out as a very solid defender, albeit he does have Joel Embiid behind him, who's a very good paint protector. But the fact that he started 35 games this season, I feel like nobody's talked about that, and that's silently pretty damn good, and especially for a team that's been pretty competent like Philly has. They've been in the mix in the East. For the Phoenix Suns, I have Jordan Goodwin. I know there's a lot of players on this team that are kind of quote-unquote underrated. A lot of players on this team that I can consider underrated. Colin Gillespie, I think, is a little bit underrated. Oso Ighodaro, I think, is a little bit underrated. There's a ton of guys on the Suns that I think are actually like silently great players that nobody talks about. Jordan Goodwin, though, to me, watching him play defense, he is special. He is handsy. He gets his hands on every fucking pass, every dribble. He's all over the place. 1.5 steals per game. He's 10th in deflections per game, 6th in total deflections as well. Jordan Goodwin's hands are all over the place, man. He does get into foul trouble on occasion because he's very handsy, yes. But when you're playing in a slow half-court game, you need guys like Jordan Goodwin that can cause turnovers. You really do. That's where his value shows the most, when they need a turnover late game or when they're losing late game and they need a guy who can go press up full court. He's a guy who can steal the ball in the backcourt, really create problems for opposing teams. The thing is, it's not just defense. His offense is actually pretty solid. I know he's only shooting about 35% from 3 on the year, but Jordan Goodwin's a better shooter than that percentage would tell you, in my opinion at least. The offense is 3.6 points per 100 possessions better when Goodwin's on the floor, and the defense is 5 points better per 100. That's incredible difference for Jordan Goodwin. He's found his home. Another guy just like other guys I mentioned where they've like played in different teams and they've always been solid but never good enough to get another job. Jordan Goodwin has been super good this year to the point where I think they might have to pay him like a full-time multiple-year deal. A guy that provides good spacing as a respectable shooter. He has good cut timing and can get to the rim, and he's handsy as all hell and forces a ton of turnovers. There's a ton of value of that type of player in the NBA today. Jordan Goodwin, with the mask on, has been very impressive this season, and I love watching the Phoenix Suns, and he's a big reason why. For the Portland Trail Blazers, I have Big Donovan Kling Kong. he's very decent. Like, he's a solid big man. I'm not going to sit up here and say that this is an all-star caliber guy, but Clingan does lead the league at 4.7 offensive rebounds per game, 11.5 total rebounds per game as well. He really is a horse on the boards. He's averaging 1.5 blocks per game as well. I know Jarrett Allen gave him 40. That might be the worst night of his career. That might be the lowest point of Donovan Clingan's career, is allowing Jarrett Allen to get 40 and 17 on him. Hopefully he learns from that and develops. Starting to really diversify his offensive game. He's taking more threes. The percentage isn't there. He's only shooting 32% from three, but he is taking more. I think he's averaging over 3 threes attempted per game. He's trying. He's trying, and there's nothing wrong with that, especially on a team like Portland that doesn't really have championship aspirations this year. He's averaging 11.5 points while still shooting 52% from the field. So mind you, 32% from three, still at 52% from the field. It's pretty damn solid inside the arc, and close to 2 stocks per game. It's a pretty damn good player. Valuable player, not having the greatest year, kind of a step back from his great defensive year one, but the Blazers defense as a whole has kind of fallen off this season. Sacramento Kings, I have Maxime Reynaud. Put this guy on your radar, people. He's a guy that next year or the year after is going to take a big step up. He might be Sabonis' long-term replacement, in my opinion. He's a 7-foot big man who averages about 10 points and 7 rebounds per game, with very solid defense as well. Of any rookies in this class, Maxime Reynaud is second in double-doubles, for what it's worth. I don't know if you care about that, but that's pretty interesting to me. The fact that he is second in double-doubles in a rookie class that does have some very talented players. He also has a very fun push shot in the lane. Like, he's one of those big men. He's not a back you down and then yam on you big man. He's like a catch it in the lane and go up with that little push shot, and he makes it very efficiently. He recently had a great game. I forget who it was against. I think it was Pelicans. The Pelicans. He had like almost a 20-20 game. He had a really damn good game. As a starter this season, Maxime is averaging 12 points and 8 rebounds per game. That's very solid. I know he's kind of a softer big man right now, but that's something that can come along with development. He's still only in year one, and I think he's like 20 years old. It's pretty damn good. It's a pretty good freshman year for the kid. San Antonio Spurs, I have Devin Vassell. I guess I was going to go with Julian Champagnie, but I feel like Champagnie has gotten his shine, especially from the play-in games, or the cup games, where he was having crazy nights, like 8-3 games. Vassell's a guy that I wasn't really high on to start the season. I was questioning what his role would be on this team, but he's proven to be kind of a needed piece for the Spurs, and especially with his mid-range creation. Vassell is shooting 49% in the mid-range this year. That definitely helps ease the pressure, and he runs a lot of the non-Wemby lineups. It's him and Fox rocking out, and they're the 2 shot creators on the floor, really. It'll be like Fox, Champagnie, him, Cornette. Like, there's not a ton of shot creation there. They need Vassell to be a bucket, and he has been. His 14 points per game is a step down from last season, points per game wise, but the eye test tells you he's been a much better player, at least in my opinion, this season. Not taking as many threes, upping his mid-range attempts. I think it's really helped his game a lot. I know he was a catch-and-shoot player coming out of college, but at this point in his career, it seems like he's more of a mid-range creator. And hey, if it works, it works. Some nights he gets hot from three. He's knocking down shots around a nail. He's camping around the free throw line. And him and Wemby screen and roll when they are on the floor together has worked out relatively well this season. Devin Vassell is a talented player. I didn't know what to expect from him going into this season, but what we've gotten is definitely more than I anticipated. He's been a very rock-solid, needed piece for the Spurs team long-term. Raptors, Colin Murray-Boyles knocked it out of the park with this selection they did. He was very high on my draft board, and he's showing exactly why this season. He's averaging 8 points with 5 rebounds and 2 assists per game, and 2.5 offensive rebounds per game as well. He didn't start the season playing a ton, but they've kind of been pushed into needing him to play, and he has not disappointed. I didn't mention the part that he's playing out of position. He's 6'7", playing center. His minutes are all basically at the 5 this season, and he's done really, really well. 35 from the field, 35 from 3. That's not bad for a rookie. That's really not. And his defensive versatility is really what makes him so valuable. The fact that he can dance out and guard a forward, guard a center, and he's held up well every time. He's another guy to me. He'll guard somebody on the perimeter, and then so say he's guarding a 3-point shoot around on the perimeter, and his teammate gets blown by. Let's say somebody blows by RJ Barrett. CMB is still coming to help alter that shot. He's done a really damn good job at crashing. The defense is 3 points per 100 possessions better with CMB on the floor. Like I said, due to mostly his versatility and his instincts. The guy knows when to rotate. He's a very smart defender. South Carolina Gamecocks, stand the fuck up. CMB has held down the center spot in better ways than I could have imagined. He's kind of playing that Draymond Green role right now, that undersized center who can dance out on the perimeter but still does alter shots and block shots even at the rim. Very impressive player. For the Utah Jazz, Svi Mykhailiuk? Sure, that's what I'm going to go with. It's a weird team. They're intentionally tanking. They're having starters sit the fourth quarter just to try and lose. This is the Utah Jazz way. Svi Mykhailiuk is getting opportunity, though. The advanced stats seem to really like him, so fuck it, he's here. The offense is 4.5 points better, and the defense is 4.6 points better with Svi on the court, giving him one of the highest plus-minus differentials on the team. He's shooting 39% from 3, which really definitely does not hurt. He's only averaging 9 points per game, but if you're going to be a plus defender and a plus shooter, there's value in that. I was hoping another team would trade for him. I saw maybe like the Magic would trade for him. That would have been a perfect fit. That would have really been a perfect fit. They need shooting, but he sticks in Utah. He can ball, man. Svi can ball. The reason why I'm confused why the Jazz didn't trade Svi is because they're trying to lose. They haven't been good this season, and they're literally benching Jaren, benching Markkanen, and Keontae's not playing. They're sitting these guys in the fourth quarter, and Svi's getting a lot of opportunity. He's looked really good. That's why I'm surprised they didn't ship him out the Ainge way, really. Lastly, Washington Wizards, Trey Johnson. I feel like he's a wizard, so nobody pays attention to it. But if you know ball, you know Trey Johnson and his long-range shooting. This guy's got range from anywhere. He'll shoot the ball. He's averaging 13 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists per game while shooting 44 from the field, 39 from 3, and 89 from the free throw line. 39 from 3 is really, really good for a rookie who's only 19. He's also shooting 47% in the mid-range for what it's worth. That gives him an effective field goal percentage at 54.3. That's the 69th percentile. Nice. The offense is 3.7 points better per 100, and the defense is 3.3 points better per 100 with Trey Johnson on the floor. It's going to be interesting to see what Trey and Trey backcourt can do because Trey Johnson is not the biggest guy in the world, but in my opinion, he is closer to a shooting guard than a true point guard anyways, mostly because he's a scorer, not really much of a passer. Like I said, defensively, I don't know if it's going to work because they're two smaller guards, but they do have one of the best backline defenders in the league in Alex Sarr there, so they should be a good team next year, barring anything crazy happen, but Trey Johnson's development will be imperative for the future of the Wizards to see if he can be their next star, maybe. He's only 19 years old. He can shoot from anywhere. He has supreme confidence. He can handle the ball a little bit. At only 19, the sky is the limit for young Trey Johnson. Hook 'em. That's it for the video. There is no more teams left. If you enjoyed this video, you should like and subscribe to the channel, man. You watched all the way to the end. Clap it up for yourself. You're the real MVP. If you enjoyed, like I said, like, subscribe. I'm going to go catch the game. See you guys in the next one.